Okay, we are now moving on to our next panel. After we take our pictures, we have the Deputy Minister of Transport. We will have him with us. A very critical topic at the heart of the issue of a sustainable society. So, transport is our next discussion is about our new direction towards sustainable traffic, the development of safe transportation methods, and the sustainability of the transport system. The transition to a more efficient and resilient and sustainable transportation model will be critical for the development of the country. So right away, we will have the Deputy Minister of Transport, Mr. Konstantinos Kyranakis, with us, who is going to provide the institutional and strategic approach for the priorities that will form the future of transportation in Greece. We will have him on stage quite shortly to present his vision for safe and innovative transport solutions with the help of my colleague, Mr. Nikos Karagiannis. So welcome to this panel. We will be talking about transportation and the battle to improve the citizens' daily life, both at the level of urban mobility and at the level of the country nationwide. So I want to start with our railways and talk about the plans that you have for reorganization, how the projects are progressing, and when do you feel we will have the new line Athens Thessaloniki in operation? In the summer of 2026, as I said, the projects are progressing as expected, just to answer your question from the start. But first of all, let me thank TMEDE for the invitation. I'm very happy to see familiar faces from my previous capacity at the National Cadastre here in the audience. Hopefully things are progressing. Maybe we can discuss about that later. And of course, it's a pleasure to be with the engineers of the country with whom I have developed a relationship of trust, I would say, because whatever they asked from us, we delivered, we worked on them together, and I believe they are also effective. Now, the railway. And a sector that needs engineers, needs the way of thinking, needs their efficiency, because without these things, you cannot have a modern European railway system. Railways, for those who have been interested in the subject and have experience in it, because really, if you want to express your opinion in public, you need to be familiar with the topic. In Greece, a lot of people have an opinion without having the necessary knowledge to back it up. We've heard things that do not apply, are not realistic, but to be fair, you cannot really be aware of them, of the situation, how it stands, if you don't really dive into things. Now, to give you a brief history, Greece, in the past, had a very strong railway system because people didn't really have an alternative for transportation. We had a big network built at a time when roads were not there and people did not have private cars. Cargo transport also was through the railway, not with trucks. So that was the situation in the past. But that brought Greece up to a point that for many decades its economic growth was identified to that of the railway. And the war, the Second World War, the Greek soldiers were transported by train in order to go and fight in the mountains. And that was the past. But at some point, Europe decided these old railways that were designed on a national level in each member state, they decided to standardize the width of the railway, the different systems for electromobility. All that, Europe realized approximately during the 80s that they have to be harmonized, and that was an area. The railways is a sector where we need the single market. The Maastricht Convention in the matter of the railways is very, very much applicable. So that for the countries in Northern Europe or Central Europe is very evident because train transportation is in their daily lives. In Greece, this is not the case because Greece was always isolated from the European Union. Just recently, we have a neighboring country that is now in the EU, Bulgaria. This is why last week, in the last 15 years, I'm talking about recently, last week a very important agreement was signed in Brussels so that Greece can move away from this railroad isolation. For the first time, we're going to have a fast and modern access that will upgrade transportation and make Europe more independent in relation to the Bosporus Straits from the Turkish Bosporus Straits, which was the tolls for anything that was transported towards the Black Sea and Ukraine, just as a parenthesis. So Europe chose harmonization, rightfully so, which meant that a lot of the railway trains had to be disassembled and changed, replaced, and the systems had to be introduced. The main one being the ETCS system, European Train Control System. The system for automatic braking when any rule is violated. Europe did that for security, safety reasons, but also for reasons of capacity of the network. The rationale was that in the same infrastructure, even if you have a double line, you need to be able to send out trains frequently to increase speed and serve passengers, and also combine that with cargo transport. There was no other way than having these systems, which were expensive because they have equipment on the rails and by the side of the rails, which needs to connect to you other standardized systems with the trains, which means that the old trains, that of the past and that of the future, need to have the same system. This started in around 2010 in Greece, but with the wrong way. I talked about three systems, remote, about signal lights, about control. So Greece just tried to patch things up. They selected part of the line, and installed part of the systems. But part of the system cannot secure the entire effect. For example, there is a contract to add to the ETCS on the rails for 100 kilometers of line. This system interacts with the train, and when the train passes over, it gives a signal about the position and the speed, and it can send that to remote control, and perhaps, if needed, brake automatically. So that was installed in a line by itself without having the remote control system along that ETS system. So it was essentially blind. It's as if you have a car with a wheel, but it doesn't have an engine. And that was very, very problematic based on the trust that OSE at some point is going to proceed with the other projects and everything will tie together. But because of the many problems in the construction sector, in the relationship between the state and the contractors, because the lack of trust, something that was not really made known. A contract that was signed, there was a lot of vandalism at the time, and as a result, the purpose of the contract would not be accomplished because of all the missing and stolen materials. That led to delays, extensions, and so on and so forth. Also, you need to be, so in order to have an opinion about railroads, you need to know the history. So now we made the decision to stop working with patches. This is why I'm here to announce that in 2026 is going to be the last year when we will have contracts, individual partial contracts, and then at the end of the year we will move to a long-term service level agreement, an SLA, which for large parts of the line will have one contract for all systems. So we're talking about maintenance of large parts of the line. For example, Athena Thessaloniki is going to belong to be one line, and we will know that we will have one contract for the infrastructure, for the safety systems, for electromobility, for anything else that is required. This is very important so that railways in the future will be able to operate properly. So for the contracts that you asked me, of course, everything needs to be in operation by the summer of 2026. And I'm happy to see, perhaps for the first time, a contract of such magnitude being implemented. And despite of the rains of the last week and the tight schedule, just 15 months, we will try to find a way to be on time. So over the summer, Athens Thessaloniki, this line is going to have all the requirements, all systems required. Our drivers, the train drivers, are being trained on a simulator for the first time in Greece, and our safety guards are more strict now. So this threefold, new infrastructure, new trains, new stations, is what is our vision for the end of the year. This is important, and the fact that trains will be back. Hopefully, over the summer, we will be able to go in the train and take this trip to Thessaloniki, and people will be able to use this transport means. This is why we have included a clause in our renegotiation with the Italian company that says that if they don't make the investment that they have signed that they will do, they have committed to paying 300 million euro for 23 new trains until 2027. If in 2027 Greece does not have those new trains, the public will have the right to terminate the contract way before 2035. So we have this bargaining chip and we need to use it. But hopefully the Italian company is going to honor their signature and their commitment because they have taken it at the government level as well. So this is the Italian company investment, their order, they have to manage it. What we want is that they honor what the two ministers signed, and it was also signed by the Italian Prime Minister with the Greek Prime Minister in Rome last May. Now, let's move on to Athens and Thessaloniki. There is a big battle there for the reorganization of the bus fleet, for the upgrade. Well, before we move there to Athens, Thessaloniki, because we have so many engineers here with us, the stations of Athens and Thessaloniki, we want them to be of European level. So we're talking about big and difficult technical structures that will require synergies and collaborations. We will have some announcements about that shortly. There will be 2 stages. There's going to be first a renovation so that we have, well, not this awful situation that we have right now, but on a second level, we're going to expand the stations so that they can be landmarks for their respective areas in Athens and Thessaloniki, with their parks, with malls, with life. So first modern stations and then terminals that can have multiple uses. Okay, I have to ask, this project is going to be by EOSE or by the new OSE together? EOSE, because of the decision taken in the past, it has to report to the Superfund, but we, as the Ministry of Transport, want to proceed with the projects that we can alone. So these things have to run together. We don't want to use any excuses and say that it's the other one's fault and whatever. So we're talking about a complete upgrade, total upgrade of the customer experience. Now, urban transport in Athens, in Thessaloniki, there's the reorganization of the bus fleet. You've purchased the buses. You are starting to remove the trolleys. What are the goals of the ministry to improve the traffic conditions, something that we've been discussing a lot in this conference? In Thessaloniki, things are much better, and I feel good about that, because 2027, really, Thessaloniki is going to be a new city, completely different. We will have the expansion of the metro, we will have the flyover. In 2019, they had 240 buses. Now we have more than 500, and the fleet is being renewed until the summer of 2026. The people there are going to see the renewal, and at the same time, we have green bus terminals. So along with the urban buses, we will have the connection to the train, and that will be a traffic revolution for Thessaloniki. In Athens, things are more difficult, I have to be honest. First of all, because we have such population density, too many people in this city. I have to say that Athens is congested. It cannot take any more people. It has not been built with infrastructure that can support all these many people. Yes, Ms. Gadona, we need this decentralization, and we need to say maybe we are the only European country with so many people in one city. And we need to work in that direction. Everyone needs to help. And maybe railways can play that part, can help, because if you have big train stations in outside of Athens, these can be hubs for any company that moves there. And therefore, employees can move there and have a more relaxed life than all of us living in Athens. So that's one thing. That's the horizontal way of treating this. Now I'm going to talk on 3 different axes: buses, metro, and when it comes to buses, things are progressing well. We have the buses. We have purchased those that we were waiting for. And until March 2026, we're going to have even more. There will be 1,076 new buses. Drivers. We don't have drivers. The number of drivers has been reducing as of 2021. The number continuously drops. This trend has been reversed as of May 2025. I'm not saying that because I was made minister, things changed. It's obviously the continuation of a situation that was prepared by Mr. Staikouras as well. So in May, the fruits of that labor, we started reaping the fruits of those labor, increasing the numbers of drivers. Right now we have a call for 300 drivers. We want to encourage people to participate. There's going to be a bonus, a special bonus for active drivers in urban transport. So even if you are public servants in different sectors, if you want to get that bonus, you need to come to OC. The new drivers will get it, the old drivers will get it, so that will improve their salary. So we will have those new drivers and the new buses, and we will be able to reduce the time by 30%. And now also we are monitoring the bus lane with cameras, and fines will start to be given. You already see that in Attica Road. You see the fines being sent. That will be sent through Gov.gr. So we will see a big improvement with buses. The metro, the old metro line, things are difficult there because we have old trains since the 1980s. They are old, they are constantly needing repairs, so they create delays. So we need to proceed faster with a contract at the factory in Volos, a Greek factory, where they are upgrading all the old cars. They are adding air conditioning units, everything that the modern transport needs. This contract is delayed. This is why we have imposed a fine, a big one, not something that is common practice. And we did the same thing with bus contractors that were delayed. So this contract will give us the first train in March 2026. Once the field tests are completed, we will have one train each month that will improve frequency from 8 minutes to 5 minutes, so an important improvement. Also, we are trying to clean up the line because there's graffiti there that give that make you feel that it is abandoned. There's dirt everywhere, there's graffiti. It's not the image that is right for a modern European city. Then, the metro. At the metro, things are more or less stable over many years. What has changed is that it was expanded to Piraeus with 3 new stations. So more time and more distance to cover, but we didn't add new cars to the network. So the same number of trains make more trips. This has resulted in a frequency at line 3, 4 minutes, which because of the passenger volume is not enough. You have a train every 4 minutes, but it's not enough. I understand that people are complaining, and at the start of the year, in February, at the end of January, we are going to have a tender for 15 more trains, and at the same time we are reorganizing previous and rehauling them, past trains, past that were removed, 12, and we are going to order another 15 new ones. And the contracts for new cars will be very strict in time. So, but the upgrade of the trains that were removed in the past is going to start now. and it's going to improve the frequency. So we are taking action in all fronts. That is important. We only have 2 minutes. We've passed our time, but it was a very interesting discussion. If you can tell us about road safety issues. We have a new traffic code. We want to reduce traffic accidents. So what are we doing there? Next week, you're going to see a campaign, promotion campaign. The message is that the mistakes you make on the road, you're not the only one who pays for them. This is mainly addressed to male drivers. When it comes to deadly traffic accidents, 82% of the people involved are men. And overall, only 6% are women that cause deadly accidents. So 94% are not responsible for fatalities on the road. And we need to mention that. We have a problem with minor accidents, fender benders, but you're doing good when it comes to fatal accidents. So our goal is for this year to end the year with less deaths than the COVID year when no one was on the streets. We've done a lot for that. We've made policing very, very strict, especially with sobriety tests. I wanted to ask whether this extension of the operation of the metro stage trains has given any results. Yes, we are checking the numbers, and of course, it has results. And people are using the trains over the weekend during the night times. We have new roads being delivered. VOAG is progressing, E65 is progressing, so roads are being delivered, and that plays a part because now the deadly accidents are less than 5% in big highways. Again, the urban centers are where people are dying. So the problem was transferred? No, it just remained there. In the past, we had a big problem in big highways and in urban centers, but we reduced the problem of big accidents in highways because we have these new modern roads. So all these things together, along with educational programs, with the campaigns, with raising awareness, have played a part. And from the numbers that we're seeing now, I believe that 2025 will be will conclude with a great reduction in fatal traffic accidents. It's something that we are working with, along with people who have lost family members in traffic accidents. We made the law more strict for punishing these cases. Thank you to the Deputy Minister, Mr. Kyranakis. Thank you.